Somewhere in America right now, someone is suing someone for something incredibly dumb. And they might actually win. That's not a joke, that's a pattern. And we've got 50 of the best examples. People who got paid for their own stupidity, rewarded for ignoring warning labels, and compensated for things that should have been common sense. Every time a fact genuinely gets you, hit that hype button below. 3 per week. Spend 1 here. 1. Imagine paying money to be scared, getting scared, and then suing because you were scared. A woman in Florida did exactly that. She went to Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights, a haunted house, the place you go specifically to have someone in a mask scream at you, and then claimed it caused her emotional distress. A jury, apparently unfamiliar with the concept of haunted houses, awarded her $15,000. She got a full refund on fear. If this holds up as precedent, I'm suing my gym for making me tired and a restaurant for making me full. The American legal system, ladies and gentlemen, where the customer is always right, even when they're wrong about what they bought. 2. Naked, drunk, trapped in a phone booth. This story writes itself, and somehow it still ended up in court. A man wearing absolutely nothing got himself stuck inside a phone booth and decided the best exit strategy was to punch through the glass. He shredded his hand because glass does that, and then sued the phone booth company. Not the alcohol, not whatever series of decisions led to a nude man being inside a phone booth. The phone booth. The insurance company settled, and honestly, I get it. How do you even argue this case? What expert witness do you call? There's no winning when the phrase "naked phone booth incident" is in your case file. 3. One man in Kentucky walked into a gentleman's club and walked out with a lawsuit. He claimed a dancer's moves were so forceful and violent that they left him with permanent injuries. Now, I have questions. Many questions. None of which were apparently answered in court because the club's insurance settled faster than you can say Exhibit A. The company clearly decided that whatever it cost to make this go away was worth it, compared to having a judge ask a dancer to demonstrate the move that allegedly caused spinal damage. Some cases are won in court. This one was won by everyone's desperate desire to never speak of it again. 4. Somebody spiked the school lemonade with laxatives, and dozens of kids paid the price. Brutal. But here's where the legal system gets creative. The parents didn't just go after the little gremlin who did it. They sued the school for failing to supervise the lemonade. Let me say that again. A school was held liable for not posting a guard next to a pitcher of juice. The insurance company paid out settlements to the affected families, which means, somewhere in America, a lemonade stand is now considered a security risk. Forget metal detectors at the entrance. Apparently, schools need a full-time beverage surveillance officer. 5. The Sopranos finale cut to black, and millions of Americans lost their minds. One woman in New York lost hers so thoroughly, she built an entire website demanding a new ending. When the hosting company took the site down, she sued them for violating her free speech. And she won a settlement. She didn't get Tony Soprano back. She didn't change a single frame of the show. But she proved that in America, righteous fury over a fictional mob boss is a legally protected emotion. Honestly, respect. That level of commitment to being angry about a TV show deserves some kind of award. She just happened to get a financial one. 6. $500,000. For tree roots. A man sued his neighbor because the roots from their tree were cracking his home's foundation, which, fair enough, that's a legitimate problem. But then a jury handed him over $500,000, and suddenly this isn't a property dispute anymore. It's a lottery win disguised as landscaping drama. That money doesn't fix a foundation. That money builds a second house. That tree committed more property damage than most hurricanes and faced zero consequences. It's still out there, growing, spreading its roots, probably eyeing someone else's driveway. If your neighbor has a big tree, sleep with one eye open. 7. An Italian shoe company tried to argue in court that a customer wore their shoes too much. That was the defense. Our product broke because you used it. A man bought their expensive dress shoes, watched them fall apart, and sued. The company's lawyers, apparently unfamiliar with what shoes are for, claimed excessive wearing was the problem. A judge delivered what might be the most beautifully obvious ruling in legal history. Shoes are meant to be worn. Case closed. Refund issued. Legal fees covered. If "you used it too much" were a valid defense, every product on Earth would be immune from complaints. Your car broke? Should have driven it less. 8. David Copperfield can make a lot of things disappear. Lawsuits, unfortunately, are not one of them. A man volunteered for a stage illusion, got injured falling backstage during the act, and sued. Bad enough on its own. But the real damage came during discovery, when the court forced Copperfield's team to reveal how the trick actually worked. In open court, on the record. The man got his settlement, sure. But Copperfield lost something money can't buy back. The secret behind one of his signature illusions, exposed to the world because a volunteer tripped. Decades of mystique, gone. The magic didn't disappear. The mystery did. 9. New York City versus pigeons has been an ongoing war since roughly forever, and the legal system just made it official. A man slipped on bird droppings while crossing a bridge, hit the ground, and sued the city for failing to control its pigeon population. The city settled. Taxpayer money. For bird poop. Let that one marinate. Pigeons don't pay rent, they don't obey traffic laws, and now they're costing the city settlement money on top of everything else. At this rate, someone's going to propose deporting them. Honestly, pigeons are the most destructive tenants in Manhattan, and their rent is $0 a month. 10. A woman left a scented candle burning, walked away, and her house caught fire. She then sued the candle maker. The warning label on the candle said, and I quote, "Do not leave burning candle unattended." She argued that wasn't clear enough. A jury of 12 adults agreed and awarded her over $1 million. I need someone to explain to me what a clearer warning looks like. This is fire. Fire is hot. Hot things burn other things. Do not leave hot burning fire thing alone. Would that have worked? Probably not. Because if you can't understand "do not leave burning candle unattended," no combination of English words is going to save you. 11. A ladder. A sticker. A man who chose to ignore both. The sticker, massive and bright, said, "Danger, do not stand on top step." The man stood on the top step. Gravity did what gravity does. He fell, got hurt, and sued the ladder company. A jury awarded him several $1 million, which is a genuinely impressive return on investment for not reading. This is the case that haunts every product safety engineer at 3 in the morning. You can make the warning bigger, bolder, louder, neon-colored, whatever. Somebody will still climb to the top step, fall off, and then blame you for not being more specific about which step was the dangerous one. 12. Boomerangs come back. That's the whole thing. That is literally what makes them boomerangs. A man in Pennsylvania threw one in a park. It came back, hit him in the head, and knocked him unconscious. So he sued the city for not posting a sign, warning people about the dangers of throwing boomerangs. The city settled for $90,000. 90 grand. For a man who was outsmarted by a curved stick. What sign would even fix this? Warning: objects designed to return to you may return to you. At what point did personal accountability just pack its bags and leave this country? 13. Toxic work environment gets thrown around a lot these days, but one man made it literal. He was fired for chronic, relentless flatulence at the office. His boss used the exact words "toxic environment," which in this case was not a metaphor. The man sued for wrongful termination, claiming a medical condition caused his problem. A court agreed, classified his gas as a protected disability, and ordered the company to compensate him. So there is now legal precedent that bodily functions can be a civil rights issue. His co-workers, who endured months of this without compensation, got absolutely nothing. Not even a scented candle, which, as we just learned, is apparently also dangerous. 14. 2 packs a day. 20 years. Zero personal responsibility. A man who chain-smoked for 2 decades sued the tobacco company. and his lawyer didn't even bother arguing that the company lied about health risks. The actual legal argument was that they should have made cigarettes less addictive. That's like suing a casino because the slot machines were too exciting. A jury handed him $200,000, which works out to roughly $27 per day of smoking. So this man essentially got paid retroactively for a habit nobody forced on him. The American dream, redefined. 15. Free guacamole almost cost a supermarket everything. During a promotional event, a man stepped on a fallen dollop of the complimentary dip, slipped, and hit the floor hard. He sued the store for creating a hazardous environment of free food and won a settlement fat enough to buy avocados for the rest of his natural life. I want to live in a world where guacamole on the floor is just, oops, someone dropped the guac. Instead, we live in one where complimentary dip is a legal liability and every free sample table needs a full-time hazmat crew. The guac wasn't extra, the lawsuit was. 16. Here's a quick timeline. Man gets drunk. Man crashes his BMW. Man gets trapped inside for 8 days. Man sues BMW. Man wins $1.7 million. At no point in this sequence does anyone say, "But sir, you were wasted behind the wheel." The jury just casually ignored the DUI that kicked off this entire disaster and ruled that the car's automatic locks should have disengaged after the crash. So the car imprisoned him. Not the alcohol, not the decision to drive, the door lock. He drove drunk, totaled a luxury car, sat in it for over a week, and walked out a millionaire. If that isn't a movie pitch, nothing is. 17. In France, a man was fired for not being fun enough. His company literally terminated him because he refused to go to after-work drinks and participate in team-building exercises. That was the official reason. Not poor performance, not misconduct, insufficient fun. He sued, and a French court ruled that every human being has a fundamental right to be boring. That's a real legal ruling. Introverts across the globe shed a single, quiet tear of validation that day. You cannot be legally penalized for not wanting to do trust falls with Dave from accounting. It's the law. Finally, the quiet people won one. 18. Instead of getting a hobby, one man in Britain chose to wage a full surveillance operation against his neighbor's cat. Cameras, logs, a detailed dossier of what he officially called feline incursions. This man tracked a house cat like it was a foreign spy crossing the border. Then he sued the neighbors. A judge, apparently taking feline espionage very seriously, sided with him and ordered the cat to be kept on a leash whenever it went outside. A leash. On a cat. A court order was issued to restrict the freedom of a 10-pound animal because one man decided his lawn was sovereign territory. The cat has not commented publicly. 19. A man walked into a bar restroom and left with a legal case that no lawyer should ever have to argue. While he was using the urinal, a chemical reaction between the cleaning product and the urinal cake caused the whole thing to violently erupt, right in his face. He sued for injuries and emotional trauma, which feels very fair when you've just been assaulted by bathroom equipment. The bar's insurance company took one look at the incident report, saw the words, "exploding urinal cake," and settled immediately. No depositions, no expert testimony, no courtroom recreation. Some battles are better lost on purpose. 20. Fired for being too attractive. That was the actual legal claim. A police officer posed for one of those shirtless fire department fundraiser calendars, and after being terminated, he argued in court that his superiors got rid of him out of pure jealousy. The attention he got from the calendar photos was, according to him, the real reason for his dismissal. A jury agreed. Over $1 million, awarded to a man who proved, under oath, that his good looks ended his career. His former co-workers are somewhere rethinking every pizza they ate instead of going to the gym. Meanwhile, this man turned a calendar shoot into a retirement fund. 21. All natural. 2 words on the front of a tortilla chip bag that cost one company $1.5 million. A man actually read the ingredients, discovered the chips were made with genetically modified corn, and launched a class action lawsuit for deceptive marketing. Thousands of consumers got payouts because their corn chips weren't as organic as advertised. Did most of those people care about GMOs before they got a check? Probably not. But technically, the company lied on the bag, and the American legal system doesn't care about your personal feelings toward corn genetics. A lie's a lie, even on a snack. 22. A family entered a corn maze, got lost, panicked, called 911, got rescued by actual emergency services, and then sued the farm for making the maze too hard. Too hard. It's a corn maze. The entire point is to wander around confused until you stumble on the exit. That's the entertainment. But this family's insurance-backed legal team argued the experience was traumatic, and the farm's insurance settled. Corn mazes can now, technically, be held liable for being too effective at their one and only purpose. Next up, someone suing a roller coaster for being too fast, or a Ferris wheel for being too high. 23. Coconuts kill more people annually than sharks. That's a real statistic. And one man at a tropical resort learned it the hard way when a coconut dropped from a palm tree and nailed him on the head. Instead of putting ice on it and getting back to his vacation, he sued the resort for negligence. His claim? No warning signs about falling coconuts. A court awarded him over $1 million, making coconuts an officially recognized legal hazard. Somewhere right now, a resort manager is staring up at a palm tree, doing math on how many lawsuits are dangling above his guests. Nature just got a liability rating. 24. Everyone who has ever played a claw machine knows the truth. Those things are rigged. The claw barely closes, the prize slips, your money's gone. A man in Las Vegas finally took it to court. He filmed the machine failing repeatedly and argued it was a game of chance, not skill, which legally makes it gambling. A judge agreed, ordered the owner to pay up and remove the machine. One stubborn man with a camera proved what every kid at an arcade has known since the 80s. Those claws are designed to lose. The only difference is, this time, the house didn't win. 25. After being bitten by a dog, most people would go after the owner. This man went after the city. His argument was creative. The local leash law was written so poorly that no reasonable dog owner could even understand it, let alone follow it. The court read the ordinance, agreed it was a confusing mess, and awarded the man $250,000. The dog owner walked away clean. The city rewrote its law. And somewhere, a golden retriever has no idea it just exposed a loophole in municipal legislation. $250,000 because a city clerk couldn't write a clear sentence. Proofread your laws, people. 26. Every ridiculous warning label has an origin story, and this is one of them. A man, thoroughly drunk, looked at his snowmobile's spinning track and thought, "I wonder if that could hurt me." He tested it. It could. Very much so. Then he sued the manufacturer for not explicitly warning him against sticking his body into rapidly spinning machinery. He got a settlement. Because of this man, there is now a label on snowmobiles telling people not to do the thing that any functioning survival instinct would already prevent. Somewhere in a factory, an engineer had to type that warning with a straight face. Alcohol. Making product safety departments work overtime since forever. 27. City workers in Israel paved over a pothole but didn't bother waiting for the asphalt to dry, or blocking the sidewalk, or putting up a single cone. A woman walked straight into it on her way to work and sank into wet cement like a slow-motion slapstick scene. She sued the city for her injuries and, crucially, for the humiliation of standing in a public street cemented to the ground while strangers watched. The court ruled in her favor, confirming two things. Wet asphalt needs to set before you let pedestrians walk on it. And yes, public humiliation is worth money. City planning and common sense shouldn't be mutually exclusive, but here we are. 28. Salt nearly killed a man, and a restaurant had to write him a check for it. A customer with a serious heart condition ordered a meal at a national chain, unaware that it contained enough sodium to season a parking lot. He had a stroke. He sued. A jury awarded him over $1 million and forced the restaurant to start posting full nutritional information. So the next time you see calorie counts and sodium levels on a menu, and roll your eyes, remember, those numbers exist because a plate of food nearly flatlined someone, and it took a courtroom to make the restaurant admit what was in it. 29. A basketball hoop. In a backyard. In a neighborhood full of children. To one California couple, this was not a sign of a healthy community. It was psychological warfare. They sued their neighbors, claiming the constant sound of a basketball bouncing caused them severe emotional distress. The court sided with the complainers and ordered the family to remove the hoop entirely. Not move it. Not limit hours. Remove it. A child's basketball hoop was legally classified as a public nuisance because two adults couldn't handle the sound of kids playing outside. If you ever wonder why fewer kids play outdoors now, well, sometimes a court order is the reason. 30. Unlimited means without limits. That is not a complicated word. It has a clear, universally understood definition. AT&T, however, decided it meant unlimited until we decide to slow your data to a crawl. The Federal Trade Commission sued, and the result was a $60 million settlement to refund every customer who was sold a blatant lie. $60 million for misusing one word. If every company in America got fined for abusing the word unlimited, the national debt would be paid off by Thursday. For once, a corporation faced real consequences for false advertising. Enjoy this moment. It doesn't happen often. 31. A famous television actress saw a talking baby in an E-Trade commercial, noticed the baby's name was Lindsay and was called a milkaholic, and decided this was a personal attack worth $100 million. That was her opening demand. For a baby in a commercial. The company settled for an undisclosed amount rather than argue in court about whether a fictional animated infant was defaming a real person. Somewhere in E-Trade's legal department, someone had to write a memo explaining why the company just paid a celebrity because a cartoon baby had a drinking problem. Some sentences should never exist in a professional context. That's one of them. 32. No crash later. That was 5-Hour Energy's whole pitch. Sustained energy, no afternoon slump, just smooth sailing through the rest of your day. Several states called that exactly what it was. Nonsense. They sued for deceptive advertising, arguing the company's claims had zero scientific backing. The result? A $4.3 million penalty. The irony is almost too perfect. The only major crash associated with 5-Hour Energy turned out to be legal, not physical. Their attorneys could have probably used a few bottles themselves during that trial. Deceptive marketing eventually catches up, and when it does, the bill is significantly more than $2.99 at a gas station. 33. A fisherman in Florida lost his boat to a storm and decided to aim his lawsuit at the sky. Literally. He didn't sue the Weather Channel. He didn't sue the local forecaster. He sued the federal agency that operates weather satellites, arguing the satellite failed to predict the storm. His boat was gone, and he blamed a piece of government hardware orbiting the planet. And the government settled. For over $1 million. A man successfully sued a satellite. That sentence is real. That happened. If that doesn't summarize the creativity of American litigation, nothing ever will. The satellite, for the record, has not issued a public apology. 34. A Subway customer pulled out a tape measure in the middle of a restaurant and discovered that his foot-long sandwich was only 11 inches. Instead of eating his lunch like a normal person, he launched a class action lawsuit. His argument was simple. A foot-long should be a foot-long. Subway argued that the name was just branding, not a unit of measurement. The court disagreed. The settlement forced Subway to actually start measuring their bread, which means somewhere in corporate headquarters, a memo went out that said, "Please make the sandwiches the length we've been advertising for decades." Billions of sandwiches sold, and it took one guy with a ruler to hold them accountable. 35. A dimly lit stairwell, a robbery, and a landlord who cheaped out on light bulbs. A man visiting a friend at an apartment complex was attacked and robbed in a stairwell so dark you could barely see your own hand. He sued the building's owner, arguing the lack of adequate lighting practically invited crime. A jury agreed in a massive way, awarding him a multi-million-dollar verdict. That ruling changed the game for landlords everywhere. Suddenly, a 20-cent light bulb became the difference between a safe building and a seven-figure lawsuit. Property owners across the country started replacing bulbs overnight. Not out of concern for safety, out of sheer financial terror. 36. The lottery printed a mistake and then had to pay for it. A man bought a scratch-off ticket that appeared to show $1 million prize. The lottery commission said it was a misprint and refused to honor it. He sued. The court looked at the rules printed on the ticket itself, determined the conditions were technically met, and forced the lottery to pay the full amount. Their own fine print betrayed them. A misprint became $1 million check because nobody at the lottery office proofread the ticket before shipping it. One typo, that's all it took. Somewhere, a quality control employee is still updating their resume. 37. A police horse in Los Angeles bit off part of a man's ear, and the city had to pay for it. The man was just standing nearby when the horse turned and took a chunk. He sued the city, and despite their best efforts to fight the claim, he won a significant settlement. A police horse is now on the legal record as having committed assault. The animal faced zero disciplinary action and is presumably still on active duty, fully armed with teeth and hooves, walking past civilians like nothing happened. The man lost part of his ear but gained a payout and possibly the wildest story anyone has ever told at a dinner party. 38. You open a bag of chips. It's 60% air. You feel betrayed. Now imagine taking that betrayal to federal court. A class action lawsuit accused major snack companies of deliberately underfilling bags to trick consumers into thinking they were getting more product. The companies argued the air, actually nitrogen, was there to protect the chips during shipping. The lawsuits resulted in settlements and forced companies to be more honest about settling of contents. It didn't end the great chip bag air scam entirely, but it was a small, crunchy victory for every single person who's ever opened a bag of Lay's and felt personally disrespected. 39. A Hooters manager told his waitstaff the top-selling server would win a Toyota. One waitress destroyed the competition, got blindfolded, and was led to the parking lot expecting a car. They handed her a toy Yoda, the little green Star Wars figure. She did not laugh. She sued. A court ruled the prank was deceptive and ordered the company to buy her an actual Toyota. That is, without any exaggeration, the most expensive Star Wars pun ever made. Whoever thought of that joke probably felt like a genius for about 30 seconds before the legal papers arrived. The force was not with management that day. 40. A woman in her 30s looked back at her childhood and decided it warranted legal action. She sued her own parents for deficient parenting, citing a lack of emotional support and failure to fund her college education. An appeals court allowed the case to proceed, which is terrifying news for every parent alive. Her parents eventually settled to stop the public embarrassment, which is honestly the most parental response possible. Fine, here's some money, just stop. Every mom and dad reading this just felt a cold chill. If bad parenting is now a suable offense, family court is about to get very, very busy. 41. A man in prison sued the state after his request for gender reassignment surgery was denied. His legal argument was that denying the procedure constituted cruel and unusual punishment under the Eighth Amendment. The case climbed through the courts, and a federal judge ultimately ruled in his favor. The state was ordered to provide the surgery at taxpayer expense, making it a landmark decision in both prison rights and medical care. Whatever your personal position on the issue, you have to admit, getting the state to pay for major surgery while serving time is a level of finesse most free people can't even dream of. 42. A legally blind man entered a local marathon, was injured when the course turned out to be unsafe for him to navigate, and sued the organizers. His argument was straightforward. They failed to provide reasonable accommodations for participants with disabilities, which is required under the Americans with Disabilities Act. The court agreed and awarded him $25,000. It's not a massive payout by lawsuit standards, but the ruling forced race organizers nationwide to rethink course design and accessibility. One man, one race, and suddenly every marathon in America had to ask itself a question it had apparently never considered before. 43. Everybody knows reality TV is staged. The producers know. The audience knows. The contestants probably know before they even sign the contract. So when one contestant on a dating show sued the network for being fake, it wasn't exactly breaking news. What was interesting is that the network settled out of court rather than let a judge dig into just how manufactured the show really was. They paid the man to go away quietly, which is essentially buying silence about the worst-kept secret in television history. He won a lawsuit against reality, or more accurately, against the complete absence of it. 44. Spring break. Hotel balcony. Drunk college student attempting a stunt. You already know where this is going. He fell. Badly. And then he sued the hotel, claiming the railing was too low. Not, I was intoxicated and made a catastrophic decision. The railing. A jury found the hotel partially liable and awarded him several $million. Several million. For a stunt nobody asked him to do, on a balcony nobody forced him onto, while drunk on decisions nobody made for him. Hotels everywhere quietly raised their railings after that verdict, which is the architectural equivalent of child-proofing a building because of one adult. 45. A professional clown walked into a corporate event and got tackled by security. They thought he was a protester. In full face paint, with a rubber nose. He sued for assault, battery, and, beautifully, damage to his professional clowning reputation. The company settled. So to recap, a man whose entire career is built on not being taken seriously was physically assaulted the one time someone actually perceived him as a threat. The irony is almost too perfect to be real. But it is. He got paid because a security guard couldn't tell the difference between a hired entertainer and a political activist. In fairness, the oversized shoes should have been a clue. 46. Remember phone books? Those giant yellow bricks that doubled as booster seats and doorstops? One woman actually stared at the tiny print in hers long enough to develop serious eye strain, and instead of buying reading glasses like a reasonable adult, she sued the phone company. Her claim was that the font was too small and it physically hurt to read. She won a settlement. A phone company wrote a real check because their graphic designer went 2 font sizes too small. It's a niche complaint, sure, but it set a quiet precedent. If your text is so small it physically hurts people to read, that's a legal problem. Somewhere, a designer at that company got a very uncomfortable performance review. 47. Free oil change. Rabid raccoon, lawsuit. That's the sequence of events for one woman who visited a car dealership during a service promotion. While sitting in the waiting area, a raccoon with rabies wandered onto the lot and attacked her. She sued the dealership for failing to protect her from wildlife. She won. Car dealerships now have, at least in one legal precedent, a duty to monitor for raccoon activity. Nobody in the automotive industry saw this coming. Nobody trained for it. Somewhere in America, a lot attendant is nervously scanning the tree line, wondering if raccoon defense is now part of his job description. It might be. 48. A woman bit into a chicken nugget at a fast food restaurant and got second-degree burns. Not from the coffee, not from the wrapper. From the nugget itself, which was heated to a temperature that should probably require protective equipment. She sued and was awarded $100,000. Before anyone rolls their eyes and compares this to the infamous coffee case, this was about food being genuinely, dangerously overheated to the point of causing a medical injury. Restaurants have temperature guidelines for a reason, and this case was a $100,000 reminder that deep fryers have settings for a reason. Use them. 49. A construction worker stepped into a portable toilet on a job site. Seconds later, a truck backed into it and tipped the entire unit over with him still inside. He came out covered in blue chemical fluid and everything else you're imagining right now. He sued. A jury awarded him over $4 million. $4 million. That's the most expensive bathroom trip in human history, and it wasn't even a bathroom, it was a plastic box full of chemicals in a parking lot. The psychological damage alone probably requires a lifetime of therapy. And every time he sees a portable toilet now, that $4 million probably still doesn't feel like enough. 50. And finally, the one that breaks the whole system. A woman sued a hospital after a CAT scan, claiming the procedure destroyed her psychic abilities. Before the scan, she said she could see the future and communicate with the dead. Afterward, gone. All of it. A court awarded her nearly $1 million for the loss of powers that no science has ever confirmed exist. Nearly $1 million. For psychic damage. The obvious punchline? If she really could see the future, she should have seen that payday coming. And if she couldn't, well, she still walked away richer than most people with actual injuries. Either way, she won. And the rest of us lost a little faith in the justice system. 50 people walked into a courtroom with the dumbest case imaginable and walked out with a check. Here's what I want to know. Do you think the legal system is broken, or is it actually working exactly as intended? Drop your verdict in the comments. Guilty or not guilty? And if you want more videos that make you question everything, subscribe. That button is your insurance policy against boredom. Last thing, the hype button under this video literally helps push it to more people. You get 3 per week. If this didn't earn one, I don't know what will.